welcome back to another episode of Ear Candy with myself, Danny. And today in the building we have Lil Loth.
That's me.
What's happening, man? You all good?
What's happening? I'm great, man. Yourself?
Good. Fantastic. Great to have you in. Been chatting to you for a long time on Instagram and that.
Yep.
Trying to sort dates out and that. So it's finally good to get you in here.
It is.
And meet you in person.
100%.
I think it was Mindset who we had in here the last time. And it was him that was giving us the recommendation.
Yeah.
Get this boy in.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems to be a ongoing theme of a lot of people.
Oh.
It's you, Mindset, Sanjeev we've had as well. So we've got the whole gang. We've got the whole gang coming in.
Yes.
So it's great to finally have you in here.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoy your time on
I'm
here.
excited.
So if you just want to give a bit about your background, music wise and that,
Right.
how you got into it, that'd
Perfect.
be fantastic.
Right. Well, I started. I've been into music ever since I can remember. Ever since I was young. I heavy loved. Just my mum would play Elvis Presley around the house all the time and Johnny Cash and that type of music. And my dad was a heavy lover of the Beatles as well. So I'd always run about kind of singing the songs. And we had this big CD player back in the day, and I'd always chuck the CDs in and end up running about my living room just listening to whatever was on. And as I kind of grew up, I started to get. I was about 12, 13 when Ed Sheeran started to release his the Plus album,
Right.
And I just fell in love with that. I thought it was an amazing album. I thought he was really creative. He showed his emotions greatly on the album. And as I sort of grew up into my more sort of like rebellious phase where I'm just like, fuck the world and everything, it was like I moved on to Eminem about 13, 14, and I kind of started to indulge in rap more.
So wait, how old are you?
I'm 23.
So you're 23. So
Yes.
I've got about 8 years on you then.
Yeah.
So it's a bit crazy to hear you say you've gone from Ed Sheeran or the Beatles and that to Ed Sheeran and then
Eminem.
Eminem.
Yeah.
Which I think like now when I kind of think about it is like that is influences now. Ed Sheeran is an influence.
That's it.
And it's crazy to think that, but it's only because of how old I am. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
No, of course.
I've got to listen to it in the house all the time with my missus, so I kind of get it. I get
Yep.
it. I do get it. But that's crazy. So you've gone from Beatles, Ed Sheeran, Eminem.
Yep.
Obviously, it's changed your life.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely in many different ways. I think music has been a great part of my life because when I'm just in the house and I feel like I've got nothing better to do, it's always good to just stick on a tune and just be able to vibe away to it. And I think music is so strong in many different ways. It can be used for hate, it can be used for love, it can be used for good things, it can be used for bad things, and that's kind of correlating with the hate and love. But like I said, music is so powerful and it's such a strong thing to use, and I've tried to capture myself in moments where I don't feel like other artists or many artists would capture themselves in. So I've captured myself in some really bad moments in my life, but I've also captured myself in really good moments in my life. And
Wait, is this through other people's music or your own music?
This is through my own music.
Right, okay.
So I think back in the day, well, not that long ago, before I made music, it was definitely one of those things where I would use music to cope with it. And then as I started to make music, I realized why I was listening to certain songs. And then I'd try and use inspiration from that to create something that I thought my emotions were really correlating with at the time.
Right. So have you got like, I don't want to say playlist, but have you got like certain songs you can only listen to at a certain way that you're feeling at that moment?
Definitely.
And yeah, I'm like that as well.
100%.
It's crazy how music works that way.
I think it's such a beautiful thing.
It is. Like, there is like certain songs that like I'll think to myself like, oh, this is my favourite song of all time. But like if someone was to say to me, like, what's your favourite song of all time? I wouldn't say that. It would need to be the right moment for me to be like, that is my favourite song. And like I could think of a fucking heap of songs that I feel that kind of way about, but it's crazy. I'm sure you probably feel the same way as like the way that a certain song or a certain band can almost like suffocate you. And I feel like that in every episode I've always got to mention Depeche Mode. That's how I feel like with Depeche Mode. Like they've got certain songs at a certain time period, or not even just a time period, different songs off of, you know, an album that might be a bit more upbeat, but it'll have maybe one or two songs on that album. And I'm like, that feels like that suffocates me. But I like it.
Yeah.
Like, and it's weird, like, how a band or an artist can have, like, such a power over someone.
Yeah.
And it's not
I
just
sort of-
Depeche Mode. Like, as much as I talk about them, like, fucking bore all these people about it, like, I probably really do. It's not just them. Like, there is certain bands out there when I do listen to them, it's like that. They just kind of take your breath away,
Take you
and
back.
you feel like you're being suffocated by them, and you don't really quite know what it is. And it's just music. It's amazing. Like, you've got music that will make you feel good. You've got music that will make you feel bad, and then for me, there's music that just suffocates you.
Yeah,
And you just don't.
completely
It's hard.
takes you into a hole.
You can't explain it to anyone. Like, if you were to say, "Oh, why is that your favorite song?" It's like, I can't explain it to you because you don't know what it does to me.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand. You don't understand, like, the bits in my body that I can feel from a certain song.
Mhm.
Like, because these people probably don't even know they've got these bits in their body. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because-
I think there's some music that can like almost feel like it revives me out of like
Yep.
a state of sort of sadness or something like that, because I have Scarlord is probably one of my biggest influences right now, but I feel like his music is so empowering and it makes me feel good about myself, because sometimes I can struggle with mental health sometimes, and I can feel really bad about myself. So putting his songs on and the heavy bass along with his screaming can be quite almost therapeutic to me and make me feel like, okay, like I can be stronger, I can be like this. And it's not delusion, but it's almost like a sort of like, I need to feel better about myself because I've been feeling so shit about myself, so I need to up myself,
It's
up my levels.
definitely not delusion, because like I was saying, there is like certain bands and certain artists, like, I mean, you can even take it to like TV series. Like, there's times, like, well, for example, yesterday, the night before on the Wednesday, I went to see Depeche Mode live in the Hydro, and I was hungover to fuck. Yesterday on the Thursday, and it's like, not that I was like feeling sorry for myself for that, but I was like, God, I could do with just like having a laugh.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't listen to music right now because you don't listen to fucking music when you're hungover. But I was like, that Bottom, the TV series Bottom with Rick Mail and Adrian Edmondson.
Yeah, you're right.
Stick that on. Well, I watched 3 seasons of that back to back. It must have been about 10 hours. Just pissing myself laughing. And it's not just music. It's, it's TV series, and that makes you feel better. It makes you feel emotions. And it's amazing how something like that can do that to you.
100%. 100%.
It's fucking bizarre, eh?
Yeah. Right before I started my music, I was going through a really sort of numb period in my life where I wasn't sure my feelings about anything. I was almost like sort of lost in a kind of like darkness of my emotions, and I knew that I was okay, but I knew that I was kind of floating around, and I was just like,
What's that? Like, you don't feel content in what you're doing in life, or
I
what
think
your
so.
reason was for being here?
100%,
Yeah.
100%, and I knew there was just something about music that was eating me away for so many years. I mean, I only started at 21, but I've always had this thing inside me that's wanted to do it. I'd done music for a wee bit when I was 12 to 14. I was in a choir for the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall,
Right.
and I actually really liked it, but I was just bullying and people picking away at me for being in a choir, and I just kind of
You get labelled a gimp for being in something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
It
And
is,
I did just have a really high pitched voice, and it was just one of those things. But I kind of fell out of that and kind of got into like, oh, I want to be a basketballer, I want to be a footballer, and this and that. And I didn't really realise that music was my dream, and I was just so feared away from doing it, from judgment and sort of everything like that. But now I really put myself out there, and I try and as much as I can to show other people that they shouldn't be afraid to do the things that they love. And it's not just music that I do that for. I'm not just saying put yourself out there for music. It's every single job that anybody wants. And I think that people should just strive to be the best version of themselves that they can in whatever they do. And I think that's a very important part of my life, and that's why I started music, because there was something inside me that was just saying, you need to do this.
So what was like your biggest influences? Because obviously you were saying about like Eminem and that earlier. Like, does it go further than that?
It goes much further than that. I think Eminem was just...
That must be like a gateway for you. Like,
Eminem was like the open
like the gateway.
100%. I kind of after that it was sort of like Fetty Wap, Lil Yachty, and Dram Song Broccoli, and Fetty Wap's 1738.
That the cunt with the one eye. He's got one eye.
That
Yeah,
is,
I remember him.
yeah. He's had that since birth though. That's one of those things where people think it was like he was shot or something, but it was just.
Does he
since
tell
birth he's
people he
had-
was shot?
No.
Well,
But
does he
there
not?
was
Right,
one
fair
time in
enough.
an interview where someone asked him, and people, obviously everybody thought that's what he was going to say,
Yeah.
but he was like, no, I've just had this since birth. But past that, it goes into kind of Trippie Red, Juice WRLD, and XXXTentacion, and I think one of my biggest...
Are they all fucking dead now, are they not?
Yes. Well, no, Trippie Red's still alive. But Trippie Red was good friends of Juice WRLD and X, and I think it was
Juice WRLD. There was a guy in that got killed a couple of years ago. He was in a shopping mall or something, was he not? And he got shot. Was that him?
No, Juice WRLD. That was X. So X was he was about to buy a motorbike. He was looking for a motorbike, and then he pulled out of the kind of place that he was in. And as soon as he pulled out, just a bunch of people rushed him and they shot him in the neck.
Yeah.
And they said they were stealing his stuff, but there's a lot of kind of conspiracies out there about it being Drake and stuff like that. But X was one of my main influences. I think he was.
Why is there always conspiracy theories when hip hoppers get fucking shot and killed and that?
It's almost a part of the culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like it's like someone has to make up something, or it's just someone does make up something and then 1,000 people take it and they run with it. You know what I mean? It's
because like when I was younger, like the big one was Tupac and Biggie. Like that was like when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thing. Because my gateway into hip hop was probably Eminem as well. My mom played Eminem to death when I was younger, and you can go back further than that. You could go like Eric B and Rakim and all that when they were doing like the more dancey stuff, and it was getting played in clubs in the UK, acid house, all that kind of stuff. There was a lot of that going on. But I'd probably say the most like mainstream one was like Eminem. That was the main one, and then through that you go into high school and it's Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and all that. But then it was always conspiracy theories. Who killed who? What happened? Blah, blah, blah. Like,
I know.
Why can't it just be that they just got shot for being a cunt? Because the majority of them were just cunts.
I genuinely, I do think that's probably what happened to X, because he had a lot of people out there for him. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a surprise to me when I did hear about his death. But I mean, it was one of those things where I was like, fuck, man, that's another artist that like died. Like,
but that's
a weird feeling.
That's the crazy thing. Like, I guess for you, like, and I know that it's only like what, an 8-year difference.
Yeah.
But that is your generation, whereas I would say like my generation was, even though I wasn't like around at the time, but was like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, and fucking, you know, Naughty by Nature, like all them kind of groups. But they were like going before I was even born. But that was just like the popular thing, and you know they just. And for me, it was like hip hop just kind of went really fucking weird really quick. Like I mean the first song I ever heard when I was kind of like, that's not hip hop, but then it slowly went in that direction was who's that little bastard, the fucking, is it Superman? What was that? What was it?
I don't think it's Superman.
There was that tune in fucking, and when I was in high school, and they all had like the little dance in that as well, and I was like, "This is not hip hop," but it slowly became, and it was hip-hop, it was going like that Lil Jon kind of style, and CeeLo Green, and well, not CeeLo Green, but like that, all that kind of stuff.
That's very true.
And I was like, "That's not the hip hop I knew."
It's kind of like hip hop, isn't it? It's kind of like a sort of like
hip hop. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it.
Definitely,
that's a good way of describing
that just popped into my head straight away. Because
did you just think of that now?
Yeah,
hip hop,
pretty cool. I'm sure tons of people would have said it before, but that's a good idea of what it could be used as. But yeah, CeeLo Green definitely. I wouldn't put him into the category of hip hop.
No, not hip hop. No, that's it wasn't him who I meant to say.
No,
there's someone else. Like, I just
can't get the name in your head.
I can't get the name in my head, but like it was massive in high school, and like everyone back in the day, you could like send a text to this number.
It wasn't Soulja Boy, was it?
Soulja Boy. Yeah. That was it. That's the one. That's it. Like that. And.
See, when you said the dance, I was trying to call it.
That's it. And it was like back in the day, like people could like text this number, and if you text it, you would get charged like £6. But then you'll get that you will get that theme song to use as a ringtone. Yeah, but it sounded fuck all like the song. Like you just
that was it. Just the wee dun dun dun.
Yeah. I guess you sounded like a knob when it went off on the bus. You know?
Yeah.
You thought you were the shit, but you sound like a dick.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
You sound like a fucking knob. So. You've got your influences and that, and you've got these artists and stuff you listen to. You do a bit of producing as well, right?
I do a bit of producing.
So did you do the vocals or producing first? Like, how did you get into like music and being creative in that sense?
So the creative side of things, I got a MacBook first, and I knew that there was a bunch of beats online, and I was just interested in making my vocals sound as good as they possibly could at that moment. So I learned on Logic how to mix things. And how to get the channel EQ in, how to get the compressor in, the kind of best way to kind of work around my voice. I've got a...
Did you have a microphone at the time, or were you using the built-in microphone on the laptop or computer? Because that's how I started.
So I was using the wee earpiece that falls off of the like Apple headphones.
Oh yeah,
and I was singing into that.
Yeah.
And as time went by, I ended up getting myself a USB microphone, and that's the one I still use to this day. But some of the songs that I made with that wee headpiece are like just as good, man. I'd rate them just as highly, and I think it's just about how you mix it and the plugins that you use. And
I actually think like you would probably have to learn a lot more using like that little bit on the fucking headphone.
100%.
You probably learned a lot more for using that than an actual legit.
I agree.
Microphone, right?
I agree,
you would have, because you would have had to have cleaned it out and EQ'd it and like proper put like effects on it to make it sound like an actual mic. So
yeah,
the amount of stuff you probably would have learned from that would have been much better than if you were to say plug that in.
Yeah, that was like that was when I used like pitch correction as well.
Right.
I've got proper auto-tune plugin now called Antares, and I would recommend it for a lot of people because I think it's one of the best auto-tune that there is out there. But yeah, it was pitch correction at the start, and I thought it was so cool. And then I found auto-tune more, and I used that and I put that on top of it. And I think in this country, I think a lot of people have something against auto-tune. It seems to be like I get a lot of backlash for it. But I make tracks with auto-tune, I make them without them, because I think it is a very strong and powerful tool that can make tracks sound better if used correctly, but it can also sound too robotic.
Do you know who you've got to blame for that?
Who do I got to blame for that?
Cher.
You
know, we've been like 1998, 99.
Yeah.
You know, believe in love after love. That was the first ever song to be in the charts to use auto-tune. That was the first ever song in the charts, and that's what blew it up.
Damn.
So if you ever listen to music after that,
It's
years as it goes
changed.
on, everyone was using it. So she kind of changed the game.
Yeah.
But I don't think she realised the amount of backlash she was leaving for like other artists that was using after it.
Literally.
Like she just fucking, set it up and then just dropped it and fucked off. Made her money and bolted.
She's like, cheers lads, I'll fucking see you
that,
later.
that was it. That was the first ever popular tune, was that Cher song. And it was a massive massive hit. Purely
big
because
tune.
she
Big
tune.
tune.
Sound like Cher. It was like robotic. But like you say, yeah. Exactly.
What a tune, man.
Like there's some to be fair, like I'm kind of like that, right? I'll never like diss on anyone for doing like what they want to do.
Yeah.
But like going back to like what I was saying, like my era of hip hop was like just pure raw Wu-Tang Clan,
And
like that kind. And then I seen a video not that long ago. You might have seen it as well. You might actually be able to tell me who it was, because I haven't got no idea who it was. But it was like it was a compilation video I was watching of rappers going crazy on stage. And one of them was this guy, and he was going ape shit at a guy in the crowd,
Right.
but he had his autocorrect on at the same time. So as he's shouting into the crowd, it was like, you motherfucker, and it was like going up and down. I was like, how are you supposed to be terrifying folk with that accent? Like, that's crazy.
I can't pinpoint it, but I think I've seen something like that before.
I'll find the video. It was like a mad compilation of like rappers going mad, and like the one that I was pissing myself laughing at was the guy that still had his auto tune while he was shouting at people in the crowd.
That is amazing.
Fucking ridiculous.
That's amazing.
It was so ridiculous. So is this like producing stuff? Obviously, you were talking about like getting your vocals in that down.
Yeah.
And like how you were wanting like your vocals to sound.
Mm-hmm.
Were you producing your own music at the same time, like making your own beats and that?
So at that time I wasn't making my own beats. No, I've only started to kind of just start making my own beats at college, getting insider knowledge and stuff. I've just been self-taught the whole 2.5 years that I've been doing it.
Right.
So things that I've picked off from YouTube and basically just YouTube.
Right.
And now I'm getting into college. I did a 6-week course in the back of 2022 on singing and songwriting, and I was meant to be going into the Academy of Music and Sound, but they shut down like a month before I was meant to go in there.
Right.
So I was chucked, and they basically said like you can go to this college, or this college. So I'm now in Kelvin College, and it's not necessarily a lot of the stuff that I want to be doing, but I am learning more about how to make beats now, and that's really what I've wanted out of the course,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to make everything sound what I want to sound like, and make sure everything's coming from the creator as well, so that everything can come back to me as well, which
Right,
would be a
okay.
great benefit. But yeah, I'm trying to juggle everything as well, because there's so many people that want me to start my shows again, and that's something that I've tried to think about, and I've got to venues, but I've not got.
Are you a promoter as well?
Yeah, so I've ran 4 shows. I actually ran a show with Sanjeev last year in July, which was the Alt Takeover 2. He ran the first Alt Takeover by himself, and he
was in here earlier, and he's a gentleman, by the way.
Great guy.
Absolutely love
great
him.
guy. Absolutely, I think he's amazing, and the fact that he can make beats, the fact that he gets about, the fact that he puts on these events for people is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I think he should be shown a lot more support than he gets sometimes.
Credit, yeah,
100%, 100%, and that's why I try and put my heart where it needs to be. And I've used a few beats from Sanjeev before. Me and Mindset are both close with Sanjeev ourselves.
I really like that Mindset as well. When he was in here, he was just so humble. Like, I couldn't believe, not that he's like a superstar, but just in the way he was and the way that he carried himself, I was like, God, why can't everyone on this fucking planet be like you? Like, he's just so chilled. Like, he channels his hate and the things that need to be hated against, but his channels his love into just fucking just being himself and like, you know, showing love to other people. Like, he was cool as fuck, man. He's really like messaged me every day since he was in here. Just like, really cool. How you doing, pal? What you been up to and that? And I'm like,
I know. I seen on the Instagram that it was on at 6, but I'm sitting here right now, so I'll be watching that when I'm out of here. But I'm really excited to see that podcast, because me and Mindset are good pals.
No, he was messaging me yesterday, being like, oh, he's doing a live preview thing at someone's house, and he's got like all his mates round to watch it and that. I was like,
that's cool.
I said, I hope you enjoy it. Like, I enjoyed it, so I hope you enjoy it. But no,
That's
he
really
was cool. He was cool, man. He was cool as fuck. So is that as far as like the producing goes at the minute?
At the minute, I've made at least 5 beats for me and Kenny McGee's set in college. Kenny McGee is a young artist from all the way from Balfron, but he comes through to Kelvin College all the time, to Springburn. He's got a crazy amount of listeners on Spotify for being 17, and he's got features with people like Gucci Mane and Rick Ross as well, because he's paid for them, and he's also just got them by searching. But
how much have you got to pay for someone like Rick Ross?
So it was one of those things. He entered like a competition thing.
Was this to get like a feature?
To get a verse. So he got the verse, and then he had to put it over, I think, his own beat or something.
Right.
So
do you see, when you win something like that, do you send them the beat, or do they just send you them just freestyle and then you've got to work that into your beat? Because I've heard of these stories before, and I've always wondered how it worked.
I wish I could tell you, but really? I don't know myself. I just know that he got it, and that he entered a competition, and then once he won the competition, he had to pay £100 to get the verse, and that was obviously told before he entered the competition.
Right. But that's pretty cheap, £100 for like Rick Ross or Gucci Mane, someone like that. Like, that's not my kind of music, but I know them enough to know that that's a lot of money. Yeah,
he got a lot of lessons on the first day just for having Gucci Mane on the track.
So if he wins something like that, makes a beat, he can then say, sorry, what was his name?
Kenny McGee.
Kenny McGee featuring Rick Ross.
Yes,
you can do that.
Yeah, he can do that. He made a music video out of it.
Really?
He got clips of like Rick Ross from other music videos and put that in his video. And I was like, fuck. He's a really funny guy. He's a cool guy as well, man.
I like that. That's proper hustling. I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, and he's only 17, man. He's ran 2 shows in Balfron. I had him on my show in July with Sanjeev. He was also on that show. He's also pretty good friends with Sanjeev. I hope the best for the boy, man. Shout out Kenny McGee.
Absolutely. I said to everyone that comes on, this is your platform, so if you want to shout out whoever the fuck you want,
I do have a list at the end, so I might just...
That's fine. If you can pull out your phone, get the notes out, just fucking shout them all out.
That's it, man.
That's why you're here. It's your show. Like, you can speak, you can do whatever you want. So you make your... Obviously, you've producing and stuff, but then obviously you work with Sanjeev. Mm-hmm. So what's it like working with another producer and then like coming to like a middle ground of like, this is how I want my shit to sound? Because that was one thing that I did like listening to Mindset stuff. I know even having Sanjeev in here earlier, like your sound is really distinctive. and which I think that's one thing that's been lost in hip hop over the years.
100%.
And like what I said to him was a perfect example. Was if you gave me a hip hop record, album or single or whatever for back in the day, I'm more than likely would be able to tell you who done it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you gave me anything in the past 10 years, I'd be like, I haven't got a clue who that is. Like,
Yeah.
it just sounds like everything else. But when I've been listening to Sanjeev stuff, I know straight away, and it makes it better as well because he's from Scotland. So
Yeah,
that's
100%.
that's good. But every time I've been listening to the folk that he's collaborated with, well, that's Sanjeev. That's Sanjeev.
Yeah,
Sanjeev.
that's
He's
him
got his
on
own
the track.
distinctive sound.
That's it. I think the working with Sanjeev, I've only properly delved into it deep with him once. He sent me beats and I've recorded over them and stuff like that, but I've only ever been into the studio with him once, and that was at Pirate Studios. I don't know if he mixes vocals now, but back then he didn't mix vocals, so it was more like a recording session and just looking through his beats, seeing which ones I would kind of do well on.
So is that, are you sitting down with him and just listening to a back catalogue of beats that he's made?
Yeah,
Really?
basically. And he also sends me them prior, so I'll listen to them beforehand. I'll go in, we'll listen to them, and then I'll kind of pick which one I want to pick. Usually, for that one, I'd already had bars that I thought would work well with it. Sometimes I write a cappella, because it's just, I
Right.
feel like it's more meaningful for me sometimes. And that was, I recorded over that, and then I had to go back to mine, and I mixed it myself. That track's actually not out yet.
Okay.
So that's called Ski. And I would there's so much more that
Got an exclusive then, eh?
yeah,
Exclusive, yeah.
got an exclusive. And I hope that's coming out soon. Sanjeev needs to get back to me with the release date because it was actually meant to be out October.
Right, okay.
But,
right.
but he's not got back to me with a new release date yet. So that'll be something that I've actually not asked him. So I'll follow up with him on that.
It's a busy man. Busy
He's
man.
a very busy
He's
man.
a busy man.
It's very, very hard to get in touch with him sometimes, but great producer.
Fantastic. Is there anyone else you've worked with, or has it just been Sanjeev and that sort of?
So I just signed a contract not long ago with Bear Cave Studios, who operate out of Falkirk. Skelly is the main engineer for the Falkirk brand. I'm hoping to open the Glasgow brand up very soon, and I'll be the main engineer for just vocal mixing.
Right, holy shit.
Yeah. And
Holy shit.
I'm very
That's a big deal.
yeah, massive deal.
You must be buzzing.
I'm buzzing for that. I'm
I'm fucking buzzing for you. That's crazy.
My shed has been converted into a studio, and I'm getting help from my dad. I'm getting help from Skelly, and
So have you got quite like a supportive network around you with your family and your friends and that?
I'd like to think so. Yeah,
Well, it
yeah.
sounds like it. You said that your dad's helping you out doing this and that, and that's what I like to
Yeah,
hear.
definitely. Well, my mum definitely does more than my dad. But my dad has said that he's gonna get through and help me with it. So I'm hoping that he'll be ready to get down and dirty with this project because I really want this studio to work, and I've really worked hard on my vocal mixing and stuff like that. And then I'm ready to finally.
And
crack
that's
down
going to
on the
be your
beats.
expertise.
That
is
is
vocal mixing.
That is going to be my expertise,
shit.
vocal mixing. I'm really good with autotune. I would say so, and I'm also really good with raw mixing. There's so many different little things that I can do because I love XXXTentacion stuff, and his whole idea was like just rawness, the rawness of the music, like, and he used a lot of distortion in his music and stuff like that, and I just like that sort of vibe. My newest track, Truly Dying, along with the one prior to that, Deepest Ditch, they are very like raw tracks, and they're very trap metal, kind of like absurd alternative tracks. It's kind of like I'm trying to deliberately make it like whack, as people would say. I don't want it to be cool or anything like that. I'm not trying to fit in. I'm trying to be completely different. So with Truly Dying and Deepest Ditch,
It's
I'm
quite unique though, eh? Just stick to your own thing. Like it's being unique, isn't it? Being an individual rather than trying to put yourself into another box that already exists.
100%.
And that's what I was saying with listening to Mindset. I was like, I've never heard anything like this before in my life.
Yeah.
And it's got different elements. You can hear the hip hop, you can hear the metal. It's I not to that extent. And like I said to Sanjeev earlier, I was like, no, like back in the day, it was like you would have fucking Public Enemy and Anthrax, Bring the Noise. Then you'd have like fucking Ice-T and Body Count. Like they're making their metal band, but it's incorporated with rap. But with that, it seemed like it was a bit more subtle. With Sanjeev and like Mindset stuff, it'll be the same as your own as well.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit more subtle. Like it sounds hip hop, and then out of nowhere you're getting a guitar riff, and then you're getting pure screaming into your ears. You're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard anything like that. But that's the kind of music that makes people stop and go, fuck. Never heard anything like that before. Like, it's different, and it's good to be fucking different.
Yeah.
Like, it's boring hearing the same shit all the time. Like,
It is.
as much as I like to try and keep up with like music that's going on in the radio, and like I'll listen to it when I'm in the car with my missus, but like 9 times out of 10, like it's getting turned down to 0 because I just can't be fucked with it, because it just sounds the same generic, boring music, which I don't think is going to ever stand the test of time.
Nah.
Like, it's not going to stand the test of time.
Nah.
Like, popular music that's going around now, there's a reason why people still remember like fucking Wham and Duran Duran and like those like cheesy pop bands, because
they were different. And
they were different at the time, and like even now, like they still remain different. Like I do kind of like maybe Dua Lipa at a push.
All right, kind of,
because she's fine as well, so that kind of helps. But that's really it. And there's some other artists as well, like Borderline, that if you were to play them to me, I'd know who they were. Some not so much. But I think it's important to be different. It's important to have your own unique style on something, because you don't want to be like everyone else.
No, 100%. And that's one of the things I try and make sure I look for when I'm looking for my artists for my shows. Just something different, something unique. There's a trio called Dope Life. Shout out Dope Life. And they're really funny. Their TikTok can be like very humorous, but they're just really odd. It's like one of those ones where you're like, that's really funny, but like, should it be funny? You know what I mean? Like, it's not bad or anything. It's just like stupid. It's just stupid to the point where you're like, I just find it hilarious.
Well, you would have liked our fucking podcast we just done with the Slicks there, because there was a lot of that shit going on in the background.
I definitely would have loved that.
Silly.
I love that vibe.
Just, it was just silly.
Stuff. And I'm looking to get them on my show. I've not had them in a show yet, but I've only kind of discovered them recently.
Who?
Dope Life. Dope Life. I'm trying to think. Did a song? I can't remember it. I'll show you it soon. But they made a parody song of one of the popular songs in the charts at the time. It was about smoking weed and stuff like that. It was hilarious.
Can always link it up later on. I'll listen to it. I'll get a bash.
I need to get it.
I'll get a bash. So what's like going forward for you then? You've done like fucking.
Going forward, I'm looking to host shows again. I'm looking to put on shows where people are welcome, everybody's welcome. We can have great vibes, we can have a good time, and you can hear some really, really powerful music. I want to put on shows for people rather than a sort of just a music night where he goes on and he goes on and he goes on, and it's a completely different vibe the whole night. I want to create some sort of show where people are going to turn up and not expect the same thing, but know what they're going to get from it, and they're coming back because they want to kind of get that thing. And that's why I'm looking for artists like Mindset, who you said is really enthusiastic. He's out there, he knows what he loves, he knows what he hates, and he contains that energy for the right things. And those are exactly the artists that I'm looking for.
Do you keep it strictly, like, obviously because like it's very genre bending?
Yes.
Like that, the sort of music that you guys are into, like, are you strictly looking for that exact kind of music for that night, or would you be more than happy to have like a fucking, I don't know, death metal band playing Early Doors or fucking headlining it or something like that?
I would more than happy to have something like that, because that's something that I've not indulged in yet. I've only had solo artists on my kind of show, so people with backing tracks and people who are similar to me. So it would be really nice to have some sort of metal band or something come along and just be like, fuck it, let's go with it.
It's good to like, not so much like collab, but like cross over in that genre. Like, obviously, if that's what you're producing and that's what you're mixing, you're gonna have like different people. So you're gonna have hip hop heads loving it, and then you're gonna have metal heads loving it.
That's it.
That was like the beauty of like fucking Anthrax and Megadeth getting together. You had like a hardcore dedicated fans of like fucking hip hop, which Public Enemy at the time were huge, and one of the biggest metal bands at the time was Anthrax, and then them coming together at the time fucking blew it up. I don't know if you've ever heard it, but if you get the chance, listen to Bring the Noise by Public Enemy and Anthrax.
Bring the Noise.
It is fucking insane.
And it
still stands the test of time. Like, it does. Even though like you think a lot of metal, it kind of gets outdated quickly, that is like the staple of mixing of like having two genres that are completely different
Yeah.
crossover, and it's a fucking great tune, man.
Yeah.
Great tune.
That's so cool.
Great tune.
I need to give it a listen.
There's
Definitely.
there's loads like that, but that's the thing with like genre bending. Like, well, like where do you stop?
Where do I stop? I don't.
Wait.
I
It's
don't think
hard.
I do. I think I just keep going. I mean, for now, like there was a period of time where I was like, I don't think I'll ever stop this. I'm fucking loving it. But then there was also a period where I was like, right, okay, there's definitely gonna be a day where I'm like,
No, I don't mean like
just
stop,
the genre bending.
Stop what you're doing.
Right.
Like what? Like you can incorporate whatever the fuck you want when you're like producing stuff, right?
Right.
So you can have an element of metal, then you can have like an element of like funk, with hip hop being the undertone
True.
for it all. Like where do you stop? Can you have like a fucking jazz, funk, metal, hip hop record all in one?
I think you could. I genuinely think you could, because it's like you've got crazy genres like hyperpop. If you heard of hyperpop,
What's that?
oh, it's just like it's all sorts of different like crazy sounds. Artists like Midwest, Breakins. I'm trying to think of other artists. They're the main artists I know for hyperpop, but there's a kind of massive underground scene for that type of music right now, and it's just this sort of crazy bassy pop music. It's like pop music but faster and just way more bassy.
What's the programs you use when it comes to making tunes?
Logic Pro X.
Are you still on Logic? Then,
I've stuck to Logic for a good long time, just because it's I got used to the mixing on there. I tried to switch over to FL Studio for a bit. It was okay.
That's what I'm on now.
Yeah,
that's what I use now.
Yeah, I think it might be better. Might be better for making beats necessarily, but for vocal mixing, I just find Logic so easy, quick, and nifty.
That's one thing that I cannot stand about FL Studio is the, like you say, the record, like the actual live recording into the program, itself. I think everything else is fantastic, but see if you want to like record like live bass, fucking nightmare. Same with vocals, it's a fucking nightmare. It feels like you're so like restricted. Like I started on GarageBand when I was like a Mac user, and it was only so far that took me. And then when I got like a PC and that, like a Windows PC, that was one of the first things I got, FL Studio. I think it cost me about fucking 120 quid or something like that. Jeez, didn't know about the cracked versions at the time, which everyone that I've spoken to since then is like, you paid for that shit, motherfucker? I'm like, yeah, well, I thought you had to. I didn't realise you could just fucking download it.
I paid for Logic, man. I'm just I'm the same boat.
Fucking right you did. And I took everything that I knew from GarageBand over to FL Studio, and even like the first time I opened it, I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? This is so overwhelming. Like I had no idea what was going on. And I eventually worked everything out. I learned how to sample like soul and funk music and make hip hop beats and that. It was great. Make fucking electronic 80s sounding beats. I love that because I've got a big MIDI keyboard that I enjoy fucking around with. But see, when it came to recording vocals, I was like, this is shit for recording vocals. Like for being named the number one, like all-in-one sort of studio package recording, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I was like, the vocals is shit.
I found the exact same, and like that was what I was looking for at the time. So when I was using it, I was just like, I just fucking can't be
well, I mean, you could argue that probably I don't know how to use it. It's probably the right thing. Like, see when I watch like YouTube tutorials and that. Even then, I finished watching that. I'm like, I didn't learn a thing. Yeah, but I'm watching them doing it how I would expect to be doing it, and when I try and do it, it just doesn't work out the same. So I'm like, it's fucking bullshit.
I used to like kind of like minimize the YouTube and put it in the right side, and then minimize Logic and put it in the left side. Kind of just copy everything that the guy's doing, and then actually doing that just made me learn how to do it fast, and I can just open Logic and do it myself now. And there's a wee few things that I've learned from it. But
so, how would you find like the gigging side of everything? We've learned that you fucking produce, you're a promoter, you do vocals, you've played live, right?
Yes, I've played live quite a few times. That's where I can finally let go and just be like, this is what I've been working for, this is what everything I've kind of led up in preparation to do, and performing is just something that I absolutely love. I enjoy the energy, I love giving other people in the crowd energy, I just love the whole vibe of it, and I feel like I am a good performer myself.
I can't say everything that fucking Mindset said when he was here about that was similar to what you're saying there. He just said that's your moment, and you just go out and you just go, fuck!
Yeah, just
like
fuck it, but I absolutely love it. I love every moment of it, and I'd love to perform every day if I could
Really?
if I could get the opportunity. Yeah, I'd love to. My dream is to be able to tour and just go around the world with my music and really
Right.
just see everywhere, because I'm a big fan of traveling as well. I actually got the college HND that I got prior to the one that I'm doing right now was traveling tourism, and as soon as I got the HND, COVID hit. So I was looking for
Oh,
cabin
that's great.
crew. I know,
Yeah,
such
that's
a
great.
fucking
Traveling and
brilliant, man.
tourism, yeah, you can't go
I
anywhere.
no jobs, man. So I had to stick myself in factories, and then I was at Subway after that, which was a bit of a horror. But
It's so fucking disheartening though. Like, you've spent your time and you're putting your mind into something, and then it just gets taken away
completely.
like that. And like you say, you've got to work in a fucking factory, you got to work in Subway, and you're fucking standing there, your soul's destroyed, being like, this is not where I should be.
Yeah,
right
this
now.
is
Like,
not what I've worked.
I've
the
not
past
worked
2
towards,
years
you know?
for, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe one of those things, fate. It just happens, and maybe it was destined to happen. Who knows? And I'm here now, and I've done my music, and I've put myself out there. I mean, I could have been still stuck in some sort of cabin crew job, and maybe I wouldn't have liked it as much as I would have thought. But I'm really enjoying myself doing the music that I am now. The support that I'm getting, I'm super, super grateful for. My mum making my merch means absolutely everything to me.
Yeah, which, by the way, he gave me a fucking free hoodie, by the way, so
did.
big up.
did.
Even though it was a faulty one. But
It was. The 44 is the right way up.
But that's the thing, you're going to get people message being like that. Oh, I got the hoodie, but it was the wrong way around.
So Yahweh Productions, we're selling them right now. Tracksuit deal is also on.
So what's like, it's one thing I never asked Mindset when he was on, which I wish I did when I listened back to the interview, was obviously there's elements of like your traditional hip hop trap music. Then there's the screaming. How do you program that live? Like, how do you do that? Like, do you need to speak to the sound engineer and be like, right, at this point in the tune, this needs to go down because I'm going to go fucking off? Like,
Yeah.
this must be hard to perform.
It's definitely
that.
hard to perfect that type of stuff. I've talked to a few sound engineers, producers while they're working away at it, and it's just you get a kind of look that's like, oh really? Like,
It's going to be a long night.
Yeah,
It's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a long
Fucking
night.
bastard.
But everyone that I've met, they've came to it. They've done a good job. I think there's been some nights where I've thought, fuck, that's loud. Like, I've screamed or I've made a noise, and I'm like, Jesus, man, that is really loud. But I think it's just some points in the songs where it's like they're trying their best to kind of calculate it. But that's one of the things that I want to be able
Because
to.
you're hearing that in real time, eh? So if you're going for like your like moment, being like, this is the fucking best,
Yeah.
and it's fucking, you must be here, you're seeing everyone's reaction, being like, what the fuck?
Yeah, if it's up too loud, it just starts going. You know what I mean? But
Fucking, that's what you want though. At the same time,
100%, just
you wanna leave a
everybody
fucking
going crazy.
staple. Really leave a mark.
But I think when you can get the screams right, though, I think it does have a really good like sound to it. And that's one of the things I was saying. I want to make a show, so when I show up to these places, I want to have a sound engineer who's ready. You know what I mean? He knows what's going to happen already.
Yeah.
He's already ready with everything set up, and hopefully I wouldn't have to speak to a sound engineer. But that's still stuff that's in the process, and hopefully will be set up by 2025 or 26, and I'll have a whole team of people that will be able to just bring somewhere.
Where did this kind of music come from? Because like the only like what I got for speaking to Mindset was, it was like just the music he listened to. So he was like, I listen to like fucking Slipknot and like Korn and like metal, but I listen to hip hop as well. Like, is it originated in Scotland?
I would say, I think the alternative sort of side of music that they kind of say, that we kind of ride off of, because it's kind of based in alternative genre. The alternative genre goes back to like.
So would you say this is just like a natural like progression of like
Linkin Park,
Korn, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit?
It's just the progression of it completely.
It's just the progression,
and I think
that.
SoundCloud rap was kind of a big part of it, because you had people like Scarlord back in the day. XXXTentacion was a massive one. Peep. Kind of, he made more sad music, but he was kind of rocky sometimes. Mindset absolutely loves Peep, and I can understand why. I think Juice WRLD was very the same. He had the same influence, kind of like Linkin Park and all those people. So,
is Juice WRLD, are they not a group?
No. So they're all different. I think that's one of the things I was going to say as well. It's interesting because a lot of the influences that you're coming to me with are like bands or like groups, and whereas a lot of my influences are kind of very solo artists, like X and Juice and Trippy, and they're all different
Do you know
artists
what?
that do.
Actually, like, this might you might like this person, but this was one thing that I remember when I was in college in like 2008 or 9 maybe, was a guy called Tyler, the Creator.
Yes, correct. I know.
So he must be like an influence, because when I first heard him, actually he's fucking genre bending, because when I first heard him, he was in a hip hop style, but he was rapping death metal lyrics.
Yeah.
And the way that he was saying, I'm a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex and I'm going to fucking twist you inside out. And I was like, this is fucking Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
But it's like a hip hop.
And he's just doing his own thing. I think Tyler, the Creator, is just amazing.
He's funny as fuck. I love that guy.
His
He's cool as
Earthquake
fuck.
tune, man.
He's cool. What was the group he was in? What were they called?
Fuck. Tyler, the Creator.
He was in a group, and they were all like fucking, they all had like weird names.
For some reason I thought Nerd, but Nerd's Pharrell Williams.
No, it's not
that's
Nerd. No, I
Pharrell.
can't fucking remember the name, but
No.
he was he was on a different level. And that fucking video that he done with the black eyes, and there was fucking, what was it, like roaches falling out his mouth and that. I was like, holy shit. I was like, he doesn't look like the usual blinged out rapper with like millions of hoes around him talking about he's got this and he's got that.
Yeah.
He's literally talking about how he's the most minging bastard in the world. But he was huge.
I love that vibe. I absolutely love that vibe.
It was huge. It was fucking crazy. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely mental. But I guess that's just like your times change, isn't it? Like, this is what you were saying. Like, I'm coming for groups, you're coming for single.
Yeah.
There might be a question to be asked: is that Tyler, the Creator? He must be like the middleman.
Yeah.
Because like I've watched him in interviews and he talks about like his influences is metal.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
But he's doing it more. His music sounds more hip hop, whereas you guys
there's
is
a
like
softer kind of touch to it than metal is, because it's like metal's heavy and he's doing it over these kind of like boom bap type hip hop beats. You know what I mean?
But they're heavy as well.
Oh, but they're just as heavy. I think his beats are like Earthquake. I don't know what genre I'd like fit that into. That's when I think that like I really find an artist where I'm like they know themselves and they know what they're making is like just them completely. It's when you can't kind of distinct a genre. It'll be thrown into a genre per se, but sometimes I'll listen to tunes and I'll be like, I can't even fit that into anything.
Is there any like later on down the line? Is there any like chance for maybe all you guys to like get together and make like one big?
I would
collaboration.
I would
like. We've got Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg up on the wall there. That's what he done with the Chronic. He got all these West Coast rappers and made probably what I would say is the most finest fucking hip hop album that's ever been made. And that was fucking 33 years ago.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And it still stands the test of time. You put that on anywhere and it's fucking sounds cosmic.
Yeah.
And the sounding of it, like it's fantastic. It's a great album.
That's just sitting in the studio and just working on it and getting a few people to listen over to it and just keep doing it until you get that perfect.
A lot of shenanigans going on in the background, like cunts getting killed
sure.
in that.
Oh yeah, man, I know. Hopefully that wouldn't be the lead up to what we've got.
Have you got something in the works though, like just to get you all together and just be like, instead of doing it individually, why not we just make like one big fuck off up? Because that was how Snoop Dogg got his debut.
That's something that I'm actually just thinking about, and I'm definitely going to propose to everyone, because it's not something that we've necessarily got in the works. Everybody kind of does their own thing, but it's been in my mind for a long time where it's like there's a lot of people out here sort of arguing against each other when it's like, why don't we all just come together?
But if you're all doing the same music and it's really niche, why argue with each other? Why not be like, I like what he says and we can incorporate this and we can do this and we can do that? And
yeah.
Like, you're going to have, like, the same kind of people who are into the same music and the same genre of what you are creating. You've got multiple people that can bring multiple things to the table. Mm-hmm. So it's constructive criticism. So they might listen to one thing that you do and be like, oh, if you switch it this way, like we had the Slicks on earlier, and that's what they were saying. Like, all it takes is to have one other person in the room that doesn't necessarily know who we are. Like, why don't you change that and just do this a wee bit differently? And they do it, and it's like, oh, why did we think of that?
Why did
and
that?
It takes, and it just the little touches takes a different tune to a different level.
Yeah, just like that. I've recognised that myself a lot of times. I would love to work with a lot more people, and I try and put myself out there as much to work with as many people as I can, because I've brought people onto the scene who just had an interest in it and were kind of like wanting to do it, and they've built themselves up around me and just off of what I was doing, my shows, etc. And there's a few boys that are running their own shows now from the inspirations that I've gave them, and I think that's a wonderful thing, and it brings me a lot of joy to know that people are still kind of like running with what I created and stuff like that. And then
So were you the first guy?
Well, I was kind of the first guy to like host shows for this genre for sure. Sanjeev did an alt takeover a year after I done my first show. I did my first show in March 2022. I did my second show at the end of July 2022. My third show Halloween 22, and then I did a collab show with Sanjeev in July 23. And the reason it was such a long space was because just a lot of the artists that I were working with at the time weren't so sure where they were going with their stuff anymore. I felt like we had something really strong going into the Halloween show, but a month before it happened, I had nearly every single artist just pull out on me without any word.
Really?
So and that's where I got in touch with Sanjeev, and I was like, mate, like I've been kind of left in the ditch here. I don't really want to cancel the show necessarily.
Well, we've got same story to you, mate.
They're gonna take the funds off me, yada yada. And Sanjeev's like, don't worry about it, mate. I'll pass you a few artists. That's how I got my mindset. I'd already met him previous on another show that I was performing on.
He's a diamond. I like him. I really do like him.
Lovely guy. And then NJ, who's a guy from Edinburgh. Sanjeev's worked with him closely many times. They released an album not too long ago. And also a guy called Black Roses who came up from London. And that was the Halloween show. But after that, I kind of had to sit back with myself and think, right, I've not got the...
You had to question a lot of things, eh? Like, if you've had all these people being like all up for it and then out of nowhere getting cancelled left, right and centre and dropping out on you.
That's
like, did they realise like the fucking impact that would have on you and your reputation?
Exactly. I don't think so. You know what I mean? I don't.
Are you still in contact with them now?
No, not necessarily.
No,
nah,
fuck
I
them.
don't exactly.
Fuck them,
and they're running their own show, so fuck
Yeah.
them, man. Like honestly, and they've not got me.
Do you
on
think
it.
that
not
they've
messaged me
taken
back.
like a bit of like what you were doing and thought, oh, fucking why the hell do we need this guy? Why don't we just fucking do our own thing?
100%.
I think that's what's happened.
I think that's exactly what's happened. And I that was the thing is, see, at the time when I was running the shows, none of them helped me, man. Like nobody gave me any help. I was literally the front runner for the show, promoter, everything. And one of the things that I think kind of kicked off stuff was we showed up to room 2 end of July, and as soon as we got in, we'd been told the sound engineer had been stabbed on the way there. And I was like, that's fucking mental. Like, I was like, do I believe this?
Usually it's a fucking car crash or a dog dying or something.
No, he's got stabbed, and I was like, right, fucking hell, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where you can't question it because it's like too serious, but at the same time, I'm a bit like, oh.
Well, it sounds like it's a bit of baloney, eh?
Yeah, so I was on my phone trying to get like DJs, anybody. Like, I was messaging everybody I know, sound producers, engineers, people that I'd worked with in the studio. Nobody could get through to do the sound production, so it was kind of all over the place all night, but the sound of the music was too good. The vocals were just a bit in the background, and I don't think that should be a problem for artists because you should know your lyrics. And so it wasn't a problem for me, but it became a problem for other people. And then that all fell on top of me. And then the Halloween show, and it was mad because one of the guys came out of room 2. Please book the Halloween show. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I was like, don't worry, mate. I've got it. You know, I'll book it. And then he pulls out along with everyone else, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. It kind of left me with.
Are they all from Scotland?
Yeah, they're all from Scotland.
You can give me their names off camera, and then they're not coming on here. Yeah, I'm not having that shit. That's 100%. Fucking bullshit, by the way. That's terrible.
I heavily appreciate that because
that's terrible.
Left me in such a bad position, and some of the way
it's
that
your
I was
reputation on the line. If you're putting your name to something and being like, this is what's happening, we've got a big event coming on, and it's your name. They know that's your reputation. Yeah. So why are they taking liberties and putting your reputation on the line? Yeah. And if they're supposed to be your homies as well, then go and fuck yourself.
Literally. And the craziest thing was 10 minutes to the end, 2 of them showed up. 2 of them showed up to it. Just
at the end?
Yeah. Just like, and you go. And I was like, you could have been here.
Did they pay for a ticket?
I don't think so.
Did they just walk in?
I think they just walked in.
Hey, they need to get laid out.
I know.
They need to get laid out.
Trust me.
They need to get fucking laid out, man. I fucking hate that shit.
I know. I didn't realise how...
You need to give me their fucking names because I don't want them on here. I don't like that.
I'll get them to you.
I really don't like that.
No,
I fucking hate that.
Man. It's they left me in a really tough position at the time. And that's why I just kind of took a hiatus. And then Sanjeev was nice enough to take me for the Takeover 2, which I was kind of buzzing for as well, but things kind of got thrown up in there with that. But that it went as good as I wanted it to go.
So how the fuck have like yourself, Mindset, Sanjeev, like you have been the most humblest folk we've had in here.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been
I appreciate that, man.
mad. Like
Yeah.
when you just come in, there's no bullshit, there's no drama. Like this happens and it happens for a reason, and that happens and that happens for a reason. Like you guys just seem like you're all on the same fucking wavelength as each other. So I don't actually feel like you need anyone else.
Yeah,
You all just had each other.
that's it.
I think that's all you guys need.
That's it, definitely. I think you're right with the whole we need to get together and just
Yeah.
hit something out, because I'd love to just hit the studio with Mindset and Sanjeev and just bash something out. It'd be incredible, you know what I
That'd
mean?
be good.
That'd be really good, because Mindset's got this
Amazing.
exact same vibe as me, just the whole sort of screamy stuff and the aggressive stuff, and then we can also go straight from that to sort of like being in a sad tone, like something like fucking more kind of like sad X type vibes and stuff like that. And he loves his peep stuff, so I know he loves his sad
Well,
stuff.
I always, in one way or another, every band or artist I have in here, I always try and get involved in one way or another. But so see if you need a synthesizer player or a guy to spit rhymes, give me a shout. I'll write something for you and
Yes,
I'll jump on
man,
it just
that's
to,
cool.
just to have a feature
That's
on it.
really cool. I appreciate that, man.
Just
I
have
would
a
love that.
feature.
I would really love
Just
that.
to have a feature. So I think we'll wrap it up.
Right, can I do my shout outs?
Well, I usually finish by saying, have you enjoyed your time on here?
Right, perfect.
Oh, and I say that to everyone. If you enjoyed your time on here,
I've had a great time on here. It's my first podcast. I feel very welcome.
Class.
I've had 2 beers, which is great.
Class.
Great hospitality. Couldn't have asked for any better.
class. And you can give your shouts out.
Thank you
That's
very
it.
much.
He's actually brought a
I've
list.
got them on my phone. Let's go.
Shout them all out. Make sure you get
There's
them.
going to be at least one person.
Mate.
Why'd you not shout?
Make sure you get Instagrams and all that shit.
Right.
Make sure they can
That's
get
it.
followed. I'm
That's
gonna have to follow them all.
Exactly.
You shouted them out. On my
Shout
podcast.
out YBXG Town, one of the boys that have been in this game for a very long time, just came back. Check out his stuff. Harlem Spartans out on YouTube now. Shout out Kenny McGee, one of the best on Spotify in Scotland right now. Shout out Adzi Boy. I'd love to see him on this podcast or any podcast. Adzi Boy's a very interesting guy. Shout out Pro Focus, Stirling's best rapper and one of Scotland's best rappers right now. His EP, the episode is out right now. Is fucking cool guy. Shout out Skelly and the Bear Cave. Skelly's provided me with a lot. The studio, I'm really buzzing to get that set up. Soon there will be a Bear Cave Glasgow branch. We'll be looking out for that. Shout out Superman, guy who was on this podcast earlier. Great at making beats. The fact that he can do what he does is fucking amazing, and I will always respect him and have a lot of love for him. And you've got NJ. Shout out NJ from Edinburgh. Boy's been on a couple of my shows. Great rapper. Just released a couple of things on Spotify. It's good to see him finally getting stuff out there. Shout out Frogs Abuse, boy who's just started alt rapping with me. Shout out Mindset on this podcast as well. The good friend of mine. It was good discussing a few things with Danny here about him. Shout out Gaza B, just started, but his music video Psycho and his music video Batshit Crazy is out on YouTube. Fucking great guy. Shout out Deggers, Gaza B's pal. And shout out Young Vic from the Netherlands, also living in Stirling. He bought the first hoodie on my Yahweh Productions website. That's it.
How much fucking money did you get for that, by the way? They've been paying you big money for that.
Fucking
Shouts
none.
out.
Pay me.
Shouts out left, right, and centre. But no, this is the reason why we do it. There's no like scumbag mentality. Like there's people that come in and like Mindset. I had no idea who he was,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but we were like, we'll give him a platform. Superman, we knew a bit about him just because obviously all the beats
Oh
and
yeah,
that.
he's been on BBC and stuff.
Yourself,
like
I done no like
Background stuff.
like background stuff and that. Like I'd rather just come in and meet you as I would if I was to bump into you in the street.
I like that.
I think it'd be a bit weird if I came up to you and
Yeah,
be
and you're
like,
like, what's this?
you were age 17 when you had your first wank, weren't you? Then you'd be like, well, how the hell did you know that? You fucking weirdo. Like,
who's that guy that does that? Oh, he's got the wee cap
Nardwar.
on. Yeah, that's it.
no.
Digs up everything about everyone.
Yeah,
They're like, what?
But he does it in a good way.
He does.
He can
He's
get away
brilliant
with
at
it.
it.
Like me, I couldn't get away with it.
And he's got that sort of like weird vibe about
yeah,
him.
he's
his
weird
edges.
as fuck. So I just prefer it just to be natural. Like I like the idea of just two guys, or if it's a band, myself,
Bumped into
just
each other.
sitting down. Right, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
And then
just like a
that's it.
conversation.
You
just like a
just-
normal convo.
You sort of go from there rather
like
than
that.
it being constructive, because you've always got to get back to the main narrative.
Aye.
If it's constructive, there's always a narrative, and narratives for me, it's usually negative. There's always a reason. There's a push to have it in that certain way.
Like edging someone, like come on.
Edging something for like your own gain. But for me, it's like no, I just want like local talent, like not Edinburgh, sorry, like Scottish talent, just to get on the map. For them to come on and have a space. Like I guarantee you, if you went on any other place and you started shouting them out, the folk hosting it would be like, whoa, you've not given us right to do that. You've not done this. We've not done background checks on them.
Very true.
God, they could be wrongins for all we know, but as long as they're
no chance, man, no chance.
As long as they're like doing tunes.
No, they're doing tunes. People that I really respect, people that work hard. So I can't fault it. And I think they deserve the fair due of me shouting them out on this podcast.
Fantastic. And you are more than welcome to come on whenever you want. Just reach out to either him, put in contact with me, or just reach out to me directly.
100%.
And we'll go from there. But have you got anything else you want to say before we wrap things up? Are you all good?
No, that's me. Check out my Spotify, check out my SoundCloud. I like to call myself Scotland's SoundCloud son because I think I've got probably the most tunes and probably one of the best platforms on Spotify compared to not Spotify, SoundCloud. Other artists. I've just started my Spotify, so if you want to go there and listen to my music, I'd really appreciate it. But I've had a really good time on this podcast. Thank you, Danny, for having me on.
All right, anytime.
And yeah, hopefully I'll be back one day with more stories.
Appreciate you coming on, and you're more than welcome to come on. I'm going to wrap it up now, if you're all right with that.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Right. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Ear Candy, and we'll hope to see you in the next one. See you later. Bye.